Yeah, your friendly real estate guide. Nagaraj Annaiah, the one-stop shop for all real estate needs. Call 408-805-4653 or log on to nagarajhomes.com.
Hello, Bay Area. Tension chordo. I'm your Nagaraj Annaiah. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show, where we talk about a complex real estate and tax topics to clear and accountable every time, always. Today, we are joined by Tony and Elder. Hello, Tony and Elder. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
Listeners, if you have any questions on the Bay Area real estate related or any questions on tax related, this is the show where you should never miss out because this is a show where it helps you to build your knowledge. Knowledge is always wealth, right? That is where we always try to pitch in for you guys. If you have any questions, we are live on a Bolly 92.3. You can give us a call. Our studio line numbers are 877 Bolly 92. So, Tony and Elder, like last time we discussed a lot about new changes in the tax, right? But I think we missed one thing, that's a trunk account for a kids. What's that is all about? Let's talk about more on that also.
Definitely. Yeah, this is a major change that both parties supported. So every child born from 2006 until the end of 2008 will get an account with $1,000 from the government. So the government will fund this account for every child born. And then anyone, parents, friends, relatives can put in up to $5,000 per year.
Mhm.
And then I would also encourage every W-2 employer here to email HR because businesses or your employer can put in an additional 2,500 per child. So definitely email HR, tell them you want to maximize your Trump account and to put in $2,500 to your kid's account starting 2026.
So basically, now onwards, everybody employer can contribute $1,000, or like how does it work?
So $1,000 from the government one
Uh-huh.
time, and
Uh-huh.
then every year going forward, it can be $5,000 from anyone. 2,500 of those can come from your employer.
Wow. So that's all tax deductible.
It is not tax deductible.
Uh-huh.
However, this is a tax efficient account. So between the ages of 18 and 30, if a
Uh-huh.
child will use that account for education or job training, it'll be taxed at long-term capital gains. So it's essentially an IRA with preferential tax treatment.
Wow. Listeners, if you have any questions on this or anything on the real estate or a tax related, do give us a call. Our studio line numbers are 877-265-5992. It's Tony, so this is something new, right? We never heard about this Trump account for a kid. So many things are happening with the Trump related. This is very good to help out the kids, right? Like to plan for the future.
That's not shabby. Yeah, it's a free $1,000. I know kids are expensive though, but hey, $1,000 is $1,000. Why not? And like Eldar said, it's tax-free growth until they take it out. So it's a cool way. And then also, like you said, hit the employer a couple extra grand, and it'll start compounding over time. The one thing I like about this is that even if you're W-2, you can still put money into it without having earned income. Unlike normal traditional IRAs, you have to have that income shifting strategy for when you're paying your kids.
I think you said very well said. It's just $1,000, but additions of small thousands of $1,000 in a years together, it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, it's big actually. Like one example I always share with our clients is that if I save you $10,000 tax strategy
Huh?
every single year for 30 years, you're secretly a millionaire.
Oh,
$300,000 is that your principal? $1 million at an 8% growth rate, that's $1.3 million in 30 years. So if you just start really young, I mean, even saying we're talking about 5,000 here. So literally by the time they're 30, we're literally talking about what's that? 675,000 dollars, right? So
yeah.
$650,000. So literally half a millionaire by the time they're 30 by just using this the right smart way.
I think the same thing applies when you're filing for a taxes also. A lot of people thinks like, hey, come on, let's go file for a taxes for just $500, $600. But they don't realize they paid a 10,000 or 15,000 more on their taxes. Instead of hiring the experts like you, right? Like who can like maybe like they pay a couple of $1,000 more over the year, but they're saving a $10,000. That is the difference. Talking to the expert, like various things where you can invest when you're saving on your taxes, right? That is very important.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then I always joke and say, "Hey, nothing's guaranteed but death and taxes." But there's a third guarantee that I can give to some of our clients when we go through a discovery call on them. and it'd be 100% ROI on the investment they make to us within 1 to 3 years, right? Depending on how we execute the tax plan. So, tax planning, it's a big investment, don't get me wrong, but this is going to work forever for you as long as you don't change your tax situation.
Yeah, yeah. And I think last time, right, I think one more important tax rule, what we didn't discuss more in detail was the salt cap and how it's going to help a lot of first-time home buyers, right? Let's talk about on the salt cap.
Definitely, yeah. So, the past few years, the SALT cap deduction was capped at $10,000.
Mhm.
SALT stands for state and local taxes. So, this is your California income tax on your W-2 and also your property tax. So, as you're likely aware, homes in California are very, very expensive. You likely pay almost 10K in property tax alone. So if you're in California and you have a primary home and you have a W-2 job, you hit that 10K cap very, very quickly. That cap has now been lifted to $40,000. So you can write off way more of your property tax if you own a primary home.
Okay, so that's a very good thing. Like, for example, if you're buying a multi 2 million house, 3 million house right now, for 3 million, it's easily come down to 36,000. So you can completely waive off your property taxes. That's a huge saving right now. That I think this will surely go on change the how the all the overall property values also, I think, because that is coming down to another 500K, 600K easily for the sellers, right? And for the buyers, the saving is they're going to save $2,000 or $3,000 easily.
Oh yeah, everyone just got like it's everyone here in California, way over, any home easy over $10,000 property taxes. So $3 million home, like it's time to go shopping for that primary home. And then also on top of this is the new mortgage interest rules. Like Eldar, you want to chime into that part?
Definitely, yeah. So historically, for the past few years, you could not deduct your mortgage insurance. So if you put less than 20% down and you're paying P&I, that was not deductible. But going forward, you can deduct your mortgage insurance, your P&I in full. There is no cap on that.
So
Yeah.
basically,
So
completely a P&I, principal interest and PMI is completely waived off.
PMI, yep.
Only a
PMI. Yeah,
PMI.
yeah.
I think let me clarify what is PMI for a lot of listeners. PMI is like any lot of people doesn't do it 20% down, then they start paying a PMI, private mortgage insurance. This private mortgage insurance usually around 800 to $1,000 depending on their whatever their score, credit scores and everything. So that's completely can be waived off or completely can be tax return. That's close to what you're saving on $6,000 there, right?
It adds up uneasy. Yeah.
And
This is a massive, big change to really buy homes. Like right now, the new tax laws with the one big beautiful bill, it's really encouraging home ownership.
yeah, and because I was helping out one of the client here, and he's just doing a 5%, and his credit scores are so bad, and he's going to pay close to a 900 of PMI every month. So for him, is like PMI, whatever he's going to do is right now completely waived off for him.
Yeah, he can actually deduct this now. So that's thousands back in his pocket just with this tax law change. And then at the same time, like we're saying, the state and local taxes, the property tax they can write off. So
Yeah.
this is benefit now to buy a home.
No, I think, but still, the mentality of some people, right? They get scared to buy. Especially, there are two things, right? One is with immigrants. Immigrants are on H1B. That is the different challenges because of the job-related things, and some of them are like citizens also. But citizens and staying for a long time, they're scared. Even they're knowing all these things, but this are like basically putting back to them all to the savings, and like at the end of the day, any of them paying a $3,000 a proper rental, right? Instead of 3,000 rental, they're getting the mortgage. If they pay the mortgage, home becomes to them. On top of it, they're sitting on building the wealth, like it's for the over the years.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And then, we are in a high interest rate environment. We will go into a lower rate environment sooner than later. As soon as rates drop, prices will increase. So now is definitely a really, really good time to buy.
And one more thing is the 750K cap for the interest, right? Is still that's not changed.
Correct. That has not changed.
Yeah.
However, that has not changed. However, you can get a home equity line of credit on your home. And if you use the home equity line of credit, or HELOC as they call it, to improve your home or to invest in a business or other real estate, you can deduct the HELOC interest in full. The HELOC interest is not capped either.
Oh, that's good to borrow more, right? More you borrow,
Leverage is the best way, my friend. Yeah.
more
Other
you
people's
borrow.
money, we got to use it.
More you borrow, more you save. I think the HELOC related, I need to touch upon two things, right? Like once, if somebody doing a 20%, less than 20%, they get a two loans. One is principal PMI option, or they do interest only for the remaining 20%. So that remaining less than 20%, or what are the interest they're paying? Now that's called HELOC. So that also can be waived off. Or somebody has bought a house, and if they borrow a HELOC, that also can be waived off now. That complete interest. That's a
Correct. As long as they use their HELOC to improve their home or to invest in an asset.
yeah. For example, somebody is the homes they bought it for 2 million, and the home values are gone for 4 million. And if they're borrowing a 1 million and buying somewhere else the other investment properties, dude, you're completely the interest whatever you're paying is like it's completely can be written off then.
Exactly. You can also use that HELOC to build an ADU on your property and get some rental income back in your pocket.
That's a cool thing. Like you can add in additions. That also you can do it, and you can go buy something else. A lot of people says I don't have money to do investments. Then this is the better way to do it.
100%. Yep. Home equity line of credit is a great way to tap into your equity. Another great thing about a HELOC is that it's actually not subject to market conditions. For example, if your home is 4 million and we go into a down market, if you got the HELOC at 4 million, your HELOC will not drop. You are locked in and into that 4 million value. Additionally, you can also do a rate lock. So let's say we go into a low rate environment, you can actually pay a small fee to lock in your rate forever. So if you had a HELOC in 2020, 20 or 2021, you were able to lock in a 3 or 4% rate.
No, I think three and that's also one of the good thing what you told. And one of the better ways also is like go buy investment properties and from the HELOC, and the complete whatever the mortgages you're paying for it, or like it's waived off right now, because that is completely you can build onto one of the investment properties again. Or like if you're doing a fix and flip also, borrow the HELOC from here, and then basically go and do a fix and flip also.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and then one thing you mentioned too is like, oh, I don't have money. That's just an excuse. They just aren't educated enough. HELOC's one way to get money, but also, if the listeners have a lot of stocks, right? If you have a lot of Nvidia stock, you're sitting on a lot. You don't want to make an excuse, say, oh, I want capital gains. You can actually get an SB lock, so securities based line of credit, and then that way you can pull more money out to go invest into other properties, and that investment interest is also deductible too. So when people are saying,
I
oh, I don't
think
got money, I'm like, you got money. Yeah.
But I don't think so. Nvidia allows you to borrow. I think maybe other companies borrows on their RSUs.
It's not the company, it's the custodian, right? So you usually keep your stocks in Fidelity, Schwab, Morgan Stanley. That's who you borrow from. You're able to leverage your portfolio with them and borrow against that portfolio. And generally, if you have above seven figures in your portfolio, you get preferential loan treatment. So you get some pretty low rates.
No, but because of a couple of my clients who works in Nvidia, right? Like they had called from to the Charles Schwab. The Charles Schwab said, no, you can't borrow the loan from this because there is depends on the companies to companies. That companies have restrictions not to borrow on their stocks or RSUs. Maybe if you go to a Qualcomm or a Broadcom, that companies does allow it to borrow on there. It depends on the companies, and again, Charles Schwab's account what they have it based on that also. But
Yeah, company custodian. Yeah.
yeah, and I think the good thing is like what we discussed is like today was like you can borrow on your primary residence HELOC, go buy. And one more important thing is like a lot of people has a misconceptions on the investment properties to do in a California. So I want to hear from your view, and I want to touch upon that. How can we make it if somebody wants to invest in a California?
Oh yeah, certainly the investing in California is great just because of the high value of depreciation,
Mhm.
depending on the area. But one strategy that we've seen time and time over again is buying a home, right? One day, a couple of years down the road, they'll move into. But in the beginning stages, especially with the 100% bonus depreciation back, use that property as a short-term rental loophole, offset a lot of your W-2 income, get a big tax refund, just do it for a year or two, and then potentially then move back into that property afterwards. Treat it as a real investment unit, get a massive tax benefit, and then eventually, if you want to move back into it, then you can. But it's a great way to invest in California, still control it, because now you're not scared of out-of-state investing. You're local, you can go check in on the guests, you can do the cleaning, you can show material participation a lot easier for tax purposes too, and then get a fat tax write-off.
So if somebody is listening on, they want to invest in a Bay Area, you still think investing in a Bay Area makes sense? There are two ways. One is like you said, the short-term rental loophole, wait for 1 or 2 years, then move in. And one more thing is also, I think you did a good thing there. Move after 2 years. In that 2 years, if somebody is buying kind of in 1,000 square footage, right? But they need a 3,000 square footage or a bigger house. In these 2 years, get your plans approved, make the house 6 months, 8 months it takes, or close to in a year, it takes a time to get in plans approved. Once your plans approved, go build it. By the time use for short-term rental loophole, right? Then build it and then you can go for it. Convert your
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
and
Another option could also be to buy like a smaller home or a rundown home, fix it up, and then you can either refinance out and get your money out of the home or open up a HELOC on the property. Because as soon as you renovate a home or do additions, you've created a ton of equity in your home.
Okay, and that's also one thing. And I think a lot of times I tell a lot investors who's coming, a lot of new investors are coming to me or calling to me, right? I tell them the same thing, dude. When you're doing investments, do like this: convert, use it for a short term. See that 6 months, 1 year you can waive off, and once the waive off is done, then do this kind of an upgrades, fix and flip. Like basically bigger square footage, go occupy or make change it. Like I think once you upgrade it, you want to sell it, then they can use a 1031 exchange also, right?
Yeah, one of the best. You kick the can down the road, you took the big benefit right away. So 1031 exchanges, you just keep on kicking the can down the road. You don't have to pay any taxes. And I would say if you are deferring, say a couple $100,000 of tax liability or capital gain, you roll and snowball that into the future, and then that's actually worth, say maybe 60 grand of buying power. So using 1031 exchanges is very powerful. And then the tax code works is, once you die, you get the step up in basis and all that depreciation that you took your whole life passed to your heirs. They don't have to pay any taxes. And now we're talking about generational wealth now.
I think we discussed so many things. I think let's talk about two things, right? To make it
Yeah.
simple for a lot of people. What's the advantage if somebody is doing a primary residence, right? What's the advantage if somebody doing an investment? Let's see all the benefits one by one for the tax purpose wise. If you're buying a primary residence, what all you can write off? Let's talk about it.
Oh, primary residence, you get to deduct property tax, mortgage interest, and then potentially PMI if you're less than 20%.
One more thing, HELOC. If you're borrowing
Yes.
in primary residence, HELOC also, right? So almost you have a primary residence, you can borrow HELOC, you can buy something second. That's basically you buying in a second house also for yourself. That's your primary residence. Now let's talk about a investment property, right? You bought an investment property. Let's assume somebody go and buy for a 1.2 million property, right? And they borrowed from a HELOC. Okay. HELOC, they borrowed it from the current primary residence. That's completely writing off for the HELOC. And what all things they can do it from there also. Short-term rental loophole.
Yep. So short-term rental loophole triggers bonus depreciation, or you could potentially reach real estate professional status, and you can treat it as a midterm rental or a long-term rental and still take bonus depreciation.
So that's also one thing. And the second, do a fix and flip also.
Yep, exactly.
So there's so many ways to build onto the wealth, but only the people needs to think about it properly, right? Or
Definitely, yeah. I mean, as they say, there's many ways to skin a cat. It really all depends on what are your future goals And then how do you want to achieve them?
And a lot of listeners sometimes gives me a call also, right? Like there are two things when they're doing a short-term rental loophole. One is on H1B, one was on a green card, and the second thing's both husband and wife are on a W2. So how do they use this short-term rental loophole? Can we quickly talk about it? We discussed so many times, but I want so that some new listeners are they can understand more on this.
Yeah, so on the short-term rental loophole, if you're on H1B and you're W2, first confirm with your immigration attorney, right? That part is to make sure it's clean. But on the tax side, we don't report it as a business. We actually report it on Schedule E, which is your schedule of real estate. So on the tax return, it just looks like whether it's a long-term, mid-term, short-term, it's all the same look. So first, do that to protect your visa. Number two is that you will be able to take a massive tax benefit using cost segregation, 100% bonus depreciation. Now it's back. And say you got $1.2 million property,
Mhm.
you can get easy, I'd probably say at least $250,000 of depreciation, even say you did 10% down. 10% down is $120,000 for a $250,000 deduction against your W-2 income. So say if you're making 500K of W-2, you take 250K, now you just have that. You have an income producing asset, an appreciation asset. Any house in California, you do nothing and it goes up $50,000. If you don't even cut the grass, right? You just let the cobwebs go, it goes up $50,000 doing nothing. So those are two great things. And then you're reducing your taxes and building wealth.
I think only thing is to watch out is if somebody is reducing their income on that year and they need to buy one more property next year, will the mortgage qualifications will reduce because the last year the W2 income has reduced now?
The mortgage qualifications?
Yeah, because they were making a 500K.
Yep. Oh, so this one's great. That's a great question. So when you send your tax returns to your lender, this is when you know you have a good lender or a bad lender. A good lender knows how to back out depreciation because they see it as a one-time expense. So
Yeah.
on paper, they should qualify you for $500,000 in my example. A bad lender will qualify you for 250 and don't use that person. Yeah.
Yeah, listeners, see, there's so many things to build onto your wealth, but always talking to the expert is what it matters. If you'd like to schedule a free consultation, it's a free consultation. Who will give you a free consultation in this modern world? We are trying to build onto you, like give you a knowledge so that you can build onto it. So if you need to schedule a free consultation with a Tony or elder, how they can reach out to me?
Oh yeah, best way to reach out, just schedule call go.thecpadude.com. Once again, that's go.thecpadude.com. Best way to easily schedule a call on that side, and I'll get you through and book a call with one of our tax strategists and
Mhm.
see what's the best way we can craft up a plan to save money on taxes for you.
Yeah, because always talking, every individual scenarios are different. And that is why you need to schedule you need to schedule a free consultation or like schedule a consultation to understand each one's requirement so that you can guide them better. So
Yeah,
reach out
start.
to join the CPA dude. And one more thing is like I'll take a minute to talk about my open house, which is happening in Evergreen this week, Saturday and Sunday. It's a wonderful house. It's if somebody wants to buy for 1.65 million, 3 bed, 2 bath. It's a great neighborhood. And I think today, what all the benefits we talked about, primary residence, all the benefits will apply there. You can salt cap off, you can 750K interest, you can cap off if you're doing a 10%. HELOC benefits, all the things, P&I, all the benefits what we talked about can be used for it. So it's a 3 bed, 2 bath. It's in Oak Ridge near to the Evergreen. Reach out to me with the address. I can give them the details. 3 bed, 2 bath, going to be listed for 1.65 million.
Oh,
In,
amazing. That'd be it's a nice home. And like Eldar said,
uh-huh.
right now is the time to buy because once rates drop, those houses are gonna go way up. That
It's
house would
already
be
going, no, it's already going to grow up because of all these things what we discussed about. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you so
instant
much
buy.
for all the listeners in. Hope you have enjoyed this show. And if you have any questions or comments, do reach out to me at nagarajhomes.com. Click on a WhatsApp icon. That's the easiest way to connect. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nagaraj.
We are with you wherever